So today is Wednesday, September 14th. This is a regular meeting of the Advisory Committee on Sustainability. One, two, three, we have a quorum. The meeting is being called to order at 12:01. The meeting's being held by video conference only on the town's GoToMeeting platform as indicated on the agenda posted with the town clerk and on the town's website. And the first item on the agenda is to approve a couple sets of past minutes, which Christine emailed and I also attached to the agenda. So the first ones are from the special meeting on July 27th, which mainly we talked about the sustainable CT application. Does anyone have any comments or remarks about this set of minutes? Okay, so do I have a motion to approve the minutes from July 27th?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Okay.
Aye.
Any noes or abstentions? Okay, so those are approved unanimously. The second set of minutes is from the regular meeting on August 10th. Any comments or questions on these minutes? Okay, do I have a motion to approve the minutes from the regular meeting on August 10th?
I move to approve.
One adjustment. I don't think I was there, so
Okay,
you just removed me from also present.
I thought you popped in.
you weren't there, Craig. Okay.
Yes, sorry.
Okay, no problem. So we'll just make that adjustment. So was that a second, Craig?
Yes, with as modified.
Okay, that you weren't there. All in favor? Okay,
Aye.
and is that a yes, Kathy?
Yes.
Okay, and we'll just, Craig is abstaining because he wasn't there. Okay, great. So, does anyone, Dan has to leave early, and I was wondering if you would mind if we take the agenda out of order so that we can discuss the swap shop in the meeting with the RTM subcommittee? And no objections? So, Dan and Kathy both and Ed all attended the meeting with the RTM Public Works Subcommittee on August 30th. And do you want to just give us a little update on that? The reason for the meeting and so forth?
Yeah, it was a very good meeting, very positive, and they asked a number of questions, and we answered them. And I think the public will get a better appreciation of how the swap shop works. You know, there are a number of issues that people. There are many impressions about the swap shop, and I think we talked about those impressions, and I think it was they got a good idea of why certain things are done the way they are. And anybody in the public who why do we have people walking in, and why is it only for Darien people? We answer those questions. So any of the public that has any of these type of questions or has a question, please take a look at that meeting first. And if they do have additional questions, they can call me or Kathy.
So just
Or
to
you.
summarize, I think it is that Ed mentioned that if you want to drive into the swap shop, you do need a permit on your car to enter the facility, but people can park across the road in the parking area and cross the road. The idea is that the swap shop is to divert material from the waste stream, and however we get rid of it, it saves the town money in disposal fees. So that was sort of the net of that. But the discussion was a lot. There was a lot more to the discussion.
Yeah, I think the other thing that came across that they were really shocked about is that 95% of the walk-ins are people that have permits. BMW, Jerry Nielsen's group, Rings End, the construction people that come in to drop off a lot of their items and material. They park inside and they walk up. That's 95%, and they were shocked at that. And the ones that do walk from across the street, I went through it for 1 week, and very few people walk from across the street, and the ones that do really have a connection with Darien. And I gave them the connection, whether they're domestics or people that knew about the towns through other means. And that's only about 5%. So they were shocked at that one. They thought that the walk-ins didn't have any permits, and they were from all over the world, and that's not the case.
Kathy, you were there as well. Did you want to just weigh in on the meeting as well? Because you guys were great. I was not able to attend the meeting. I was out of town, but I watched it on TV 79, and you guys did a great job.
Hi, Carolyn. Thank you for saying that. I just want to echo some of what Dan said. There was, oh, and by the way, you were missed. It was repeatedly stated if you watched that Carolyn wasn't there. So compliments to you. The information that was shared was very helpful to the people there that not everybody knew. So, some facts about the swap shop, the amount that we haul off in waste. So some of that dialogue was really helpful for the members of the RTM, I think, and hopefully anyone who watched. The follow on to Dan's point about who's coming in, if they're permitted or not, everything we just submitted in Sustainable CT talks about, especially through that equity component, talks about understanding your community and it clearly says who lives and works in your community. And I think this was a really fabulous example of the fact that someone may come into the swap shop and not look like they're a resident of Darien, but they may be someone who works in the community. And so I thought that was a really important connection to make, especially the timing. And that's sort of underlying a lot of what Sustainable CT is asking you to think about your community as a whole. There were a couple of comments that we as a group probably can continue to work on relative to the experience when someone comes to the swap shop, that all volunteers are identified either with a vest or hat at all times, because that clears up a lot of confusion. I thought that was fabulous. There was another, couple of other comments, and I'm driving, so I don't have my notes, that I can forward back through the committee about things that might be a good idea, whether it's a suggestion box. We talked about publishing some of the codes of conduct of, what we expect when you come, sort of the philosophy, if you will. It's that we could post that, and that would be a reference. So I think there are a couple of things we could do that aren't necessarily time consuming or expensive, but might enhance the experience and reduce questions going forward.
So there was a code of conduct that was hung in the swap shop, in the old swap shop, and Craig kindly forwarded that to me. And I think a lot of it is still very relevant. And I think that possibly when we transferred from the old swap shop to the new swap shop, it somehow got lost. So we can do that again. You mentioned that was one of the suggestions.
Yeah, I think it was a lot of just simple communication, both in what we can put on our wall that you could reference if you're there, or I think communication is also the hats and the vests that says I'm a part of this organization, as well as is there a place where people could leave suggestions if they felt it didn't require emailing the town of Darien every time they had a question that we could respond to. So really just little communication things that I think we have an opportunity to tweak.
The other thing, Carolyn, is that if we can ask Ed for hats as soon as possible, because the men would really like to wear hats.
Cool.
Okay. Yeah, I think Ed said that he was more than willing to provide those.
Right,
I,
exactly.
I think the vests are nice because they, you know, they're immediately identifiable. You know, lots of different people wear hats, but I mean, if we get something that is, you know, similar to the vests and color and so forth, that will
Right.
kind of stand out as
Yes.
well. But Ed said that he would be willing to provide the hats. So if yeah, if you could give me a number on how many hats,
We need
um,
8 of them.
8.
Well, give us 10. Yeah, let's get 10 so we have enough. You never know.
Okay. Anything else from that meeting or any other comments? Does anyone have anything else they'd like to say about that?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so thank
I'll
you
always
again.
repeat the very basic mission of the swap shop,
Yes,
which is simply to recycle
reduce waste.
garbage. Stuff that would
Yes.
otherwise be thrown away is given a second life, and we really, as long as it's accomplishing that mission, whoever is benefiting from that, good for them.
Yeah, I think at the meeting, Dan, you had mentioned though that like up to like a third of the material dropped off at the swap shop is not readily reusable by other people.
Yes.
It's just so I think one of the suggestions that someone brought up was that we publish some information about the swap shop and like what should be dropped, the types of things that should be dropped off there, the condition of the things, like, is this really something that someone else would use? I mean, I went there myself 3 or 4 times in the last couple of weeks just to kind of, you know, well, I was getting some books from my sister, but I also, I also just kind of wanted to take a look at, you know, the kinds of things that are being brought in. And, you know, to your point, there is a lot of stuff that the majority of people would not really consider usable. So we do need to ask people to really think if this is something that someone else would be willing, you know, someone else would use.
Yeah,
So,
I'll give you an
Carol,
example. I was there at 11 o'clock, and there was a big machine, you know, one of your exercise machines. Nobody wants them. And, you know, it's metal and it should have been placed up on top. And I said to the volunteers, why did you take it? And they said, well, probably we're, you know, in midway and nobody was here at the time. So I think it's a good idea that we put that list together because this machine was huge and, you know, it should have been back up where the metal is. No one's
well,
gonna,
and generally
within the
anything
hour,
that's,
nobody's gonna take it.
yeah, generally anything that's very large in size shouldn't be dropped off at the swap shop just because of space considerations. You know, like a big, huge sofa is, you know, a little, you know, slipper chair or small club chair may, in good condition or usable condition may be appropriate, but not like a huge sofa because if it's not taken immediately, there's just no place to store it. So
Exactly, and I think that list would really help.
and we'll get that to Marley Hayes, who can, you know, publish it in the biweekly newsletter, which is really kind of the best way to reach the most
And the other
people.
thing
Carol,
I did is I gave them some examples of before and after. You know, I asked the people that sell on eBay. There may be 3 or 4 of them, and people were shocked that, you know, 90% of the goods nobody would put in their living room. It takes a lot of work to get, you know, to the where it's saleable from the before and after. So I showed them those pictures also, and I said, you know, people are just not picking it up and putting it on eBay and making a pile of money. That's not the case.
Right.
There's a lot of work that goes into recycling and you know, manpower on that,
Yep.
and also the
Kathy, I know
people.
you've been trying to say something.
yeah, this is a kind of broad, and we can again work on it. I think it's simple, but in a suggestion regarding going to the town is we did this at our beach club relative to sustainability efforts this summer, which we came up with like 3 or 4 in a theme, if you will, and gave it, and then she can, with the write up for the newsletter, and then the town can use it at multiple times over
Yes.
multiple, with a swap shop, 6 things about the swap shop.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm driving on 95, and it's close going towards New York, and there are law enforcement walking the highway, and the traffic is horrible. And another day in Fairfield County, or some sort of law enforcement thing going on, but the highway's closed going to Norwalk. So don't get on if you're anywhere near there right now. Traffic report of the day. But yeah, so anyway, so maybe we could work on sort of I don't want to say the portfolio, but part A, B, C, D, and it would have a consistent theme with maybe 3 or 4 different points, whether that's behavior, what not to bring, that it's about removing from the waste stream, and having them be bullets that could be reinforced in a number, like on the social media.
Craig, did you just put that up? I see a swap shop volunteer hat. Craig, can you unmute
I like
yourself?
that. And most likely red or blue. Well,
Let me.
There we go. Okay.
There you go. Okay, now we can hear you.
Yes. No, I was gonna go make it ugly bright green, man, so that everybody
Yes.
that's not a hat that people would
think
normally wear. That was intentional.
It
well, that's
needs
true.
to be
Yeah,
something that Ed
that's a
can
good
see.
idea. That'll.
We'll see.
Well, and
Good
it
for you,
needs
Craig. That's creative.
it needs to be a color that Ed can readily identify because of the cameras and so forth. We don't want a color that,
Yeah, look,
lots of
if it's
people wear blue and red
reality
hats.
is
We
if
want
it's a
something that
normal
stands
hat,
out.
yeah, if it's a normal hat color, you might not immediately know that someone's wearing that hat for a reason. So
Right.
That's true. That's a
I
good color.
intentionally picked a hat color that
I mean, that's the same color as the vest, so I think that would work okay. Some people might want to wear both.
Yeah.
I think you also have to realize that part of wearing the vest is a safety matter for the volunteers who are walking where cars are backing in and out. So whatever the hat is should be something that's bright and identifiable.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah, thanks, Craig. If you can email that to me, I can forward that to Ed, and we can get those ordered.
That'd be great.
So if we get the hat
we
scanned,
get like
everyone
a
would feel
swap shop
comfortable
volunteer in
wearing the
front,
hat.
here to help on the
Yes.
back. We good?
I like the here to help. Yeah. Looks good.
I think that's great. Perfect.
Oh, Dan, is there anything else to report? I know you said you have to leave early. Is there anything else to report about the swap shop, day to
Swap
day?
shop has been very slow. I'm surprised.
Even with
I thought
everyone
people
coming
were
back
away,
into
but
town?
even on Saturdays, it hasn't been busy. So it's manageable. Saturdays are manageable at this point in time.
And we had talked about, just so that, people feel included, we had talked about maybe taking one of the donated binders and putting it on the front table, as opposed to putting up a whiteboard where people put their cell phone. And then if people have a specific request for something, like if someone says, I want, one of those big exercise machines, and they leave their name and their phone number, and someone drives up with one, then the volunteers know that, they can leave it there, they can call that person, they can come and pick it up.
Yeah.
So we had talked about maybe doing
we want
that.
to hang the poster board of code of conduct again, and we want to get a big whiteboard.
Well, Craig, we thought instead of doing the whiteboard that we might do a binder where people could just write their name, their phone number, and what they're interested in. And then the volunteers, when they come on duty, they would just take a peek to see what's been added, so that as things come in, that way people don't have to have their name and their phone number up on a whiteboard wherever,
Yeah, we had a woman come in yesterday that had a beautiful trampoline at home that has to be dismantled, and she's leaving town, and she didn't mind putting her name and address and phone number. And we have it there, on the board, and anybody can give her a call and go on over there and take it. So
So
we are
yes,
doing
it can work both ways. It can
both
be
ways.
for
We can work it
someone
both
who's
ways. If
looking for
somebody doesn't want it
something.
up on top, we can put it. Yes, exactly. But we are doing that. We said to the woman, now, give us, your detail, and we'll put it up on the board. And when you get up there, you'll see it.
So that the whiteboard would be great for putting that stuff up, the stuff
Yes.
that, and then if people are looking for things, um, I mean, I'm sort of agnostic on whether it's a whiteboard or a binder, but I think that we need to somehow kind of match
Yeah. Well,
people's requests and availability of merchandise.
I'm waiting for a little stand to come in so we can put a stand on the corner and have a small whiteboard on the stand, similar to.
Christine, you have your hand raised.
I do. Would that be something that we could do, like not putting personal information, but say you
Mhm.
get somebody who comes in and writes this down in the binder, like if Dan, like if we could put it on the Facebook page, be like, there's somebody in town looking for a blah blah blah, please stop by the Darien, the swap shop and
Yeah,
get their information. I mean, that's a good way to
yeah,
reach
we
out to
we could
multiple.
definitely use the
We
Facebook
can do
page
that.
for
Yeah.
that.
I mean, I think that's a good way to, like, we could even do that this morning. If there's a treadmill there, we could put it on and be like, treadmill at the swap shop, go get it.
2x3 whiteboard, $18.36.
Okay.
That's not bad.
We got
No,
a second
that's
one.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's crazy. The 6x4 goes up to how much? That's good.
Yeah.
well, I don't know if
lot
we
of
would
room
have
for
room
it.
for that.
Harder to ship, I guess. I don't know.
Right. So we can do the whiteboard, and the hats. We'll talk to Ed
And
about.
depending who does, I mean, you and I both have access to the Facebook page. I mean, if Dan wanted to text us, I mean, I'm happy to throw it on there. It's easy.
Dan, do you use Facebook? I mean, could you, as things come in, would you want to put them up there with a photo and what the item is? I mean, we can talk about it
I
offline.
don't use Facebook. I'm not
Okay,
on Facebook.
we'll figure it out. But I mean, yeah, no, these are great ideas.
I'm not
Um,
into that.
okay. So yeah, so
We
what you could
want
do is you could take
10
a
hats.
photo, text it to Christine. She could put it on the Facebook page.
Yeah.
Dan, you want 10 hats?
10 hats.
10 hats, okay.
Anything else on the swap shop, Dan, before you go?
No, that's it. It was an excellent meeting. Kathy, you did a wonderful job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hold on, I'm just going to call up the code of conduct because if we're going to get something printed, I want to know if it still makes sense.
Okay.
Sorry.
I'm having the guys look to see if it's up in the mezzanine at the garage or something like that,
Oh, they may have just put it aside.
Yeah, I mean, it's probably a slim chance, but just in case.
So there were two things that we used to do. Let me share again, or we did once. One was we had volunteers just sign a contract. It's nothing big. It's just, here's things that we will do when we're on site. But here's the conduct. Swap Shop is a town public space. Safety is paramount. Whether you are a shopper or a dropper, you must observe the following rules of conduct. Be courteous. Swearing, offensive language, or disruptive behavior. No smoking. No pets. Children must be monitored at all times, especially in the parking area. Absolutely no climbing on tables or bookshelves, no running. A list of acceptable items is posted separately. Please make sure large or breakable items are left in safe condition and are not in danger of falling. Be respectful of the personal space of others. No hovering or grabbing items being dropped off. No loitering. Leave promptly at closing time.
Craig, how was this printed? Was this on like a big poster
Don't
or
remember.
how?
It was on a
Yeah,
piece of paper. I recall it. It was just a paper that was on the
just
door,
paper.
and yeah, we weren't that sophisticated years ago.
I mean,
Oh,
I
so
could
We should
totally
I
do
could
not
do a
that.
large
technologists.
I could do a large format print.
That's a good idea. Laminate it maybe and just tack it up
I
Laminate
somewhere.
could,
it.
or yeah, well, yeah. For no money, I could do a large format print and clip it to a board and drop it off at the swap shop. For money, we could send it out to be properly mounted.
I think no
Well, that's
money is
not,
fine.
I
I
don't think we
think
need to
no
spend money
money.
on it if it looks good and, is
Yeah.
usable.
I mean, is everything on it still relevant? Looking at it
Well, except
now.
for the Susan Cameron's contact information.
Right. Right.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, she'd love that one.
Right.
Hi, this is Kathy. I'd spend money because we're spending an awful lot of time on this. Time is money.
Yeah.
I would like this to be a reference
Done well.
that lasts.
Okay. Well, I'll create the poster digital file and send it to Ed with the request for the hats.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on, signage can be costly, but, if this is just printed on and laminated, that's not going to be a big expense, I don't think. I mean, we're just talking about this now. I mean, maybe we can get an estimate on it and compare it to what Craig is willing to do for us for free. So, but I do think having a code of conduct up there is a good idea. And
Yes.
I also like the fact that when people, because I know that some of the public works committee members had mentioned people taking things out of cars and, just walking up and taking things out of cars and putting them in their own. And I like them knowing that if someone's doing that, it's not a volunteer. It's someone who's, it's another member of the public who has come in, and that way the code of conduct is sort of deterring them from doing that as well.
What
So
color are the existing vests?
they're like they're like a neon greenish. They're like a yellow
Okay.
highlighter, Craig.
Okay. So volunteers are identified by a bright green hat or vest.
They're this color.
Would you
Yep.
say
Got
that's green or yellow? It's like a neon.
It's like a neon yellow.
It's a
Very.
neon, yes.
It's hard to tell with my computer. The color looked a little muted, but it's very, very, yeah, it's very, very bright yellow.
Okay.
All
So
right.
we've
Well,
got the hats we're getting, the whiteboard, and the code of conduct to be hung.
Good.
Okay. Are we done with the swap shop or is there anything else? Okay, so we're going to move back to item 2 on our agenda, which is sustainable CT. Just a report that the application, you all know, was, as you all well know, was filed on August 23rd after a frenzy of activity that we worked on for weeks and weeks. That was the deadline. Just any comments about the process or anything related to that, other than the fact that it was like a huge amount of work for all of us. Okay. And in the process of one of the items where we had to benchmark, Tony benchmarked the energy use in town buildings. We discovered that 4 of the town buildings were eligible for Energy Star certification from the EPA. So that was like really welcome news. We found a grant to go through the process of having a verifier go over our applications and verify that everything that was on there was in fact correct. It was submitted to the EPA, and we have received Energy Star certification for Town Hall, Middlesex Middle School, Homeschool, and Royal School. And if you go on the EPA's website and Google Energy Star buildings and put in the zip code for Darien, you will in fact see that those 4 buildings now have Energy Star certification. So there was like a whole packet of information that the EPA sent along with news of this certification. And I know that the first selectman mentioned at one of the Board of Selectmen meetings that this has happened. I don't know if there's anything else that I think I posted it on Facebook, but should we be doing anything else? Craig, do you think there's anything else that we should be doing to make the public aware of this these awards?
The Board of Ed knows?
Yeah, I emailed both the chairman of the Board of Ed and the facilities director. I didn't hear back.
Is there signage that we should put up on these buildings? You can print out a little
So,
certificate, put it near the front
Tony,
door.
there was the option, as I recall, to get some kind of a medallion that you could put on the building, but I don't know if because we had help from Amy Thompson with this. Did we request the medallions? Do you
No,
remember?
I didn't see that part. I know there's a plaque, but that's for like the selectman's office or
Oh,
maybe.
that's what, I'm sorry. It's not a
Yeah,
medallion. You're right. It's a plaque.
right.
Did we get the plaque, ask for the
I
plaque?
don't remember it.
I know there's a formal letter that will be coming to the town. I mean, this was just an email to Ed, and then, Tony forwarded it to me. In the email, they said that they would be sending formal letters, so there may be more to come from that. But it's great. I mean, this is like great for our town. I mean, it shows that, compared to similar buildings that, they use a lot less energy. They're much more, 75% more energy efficient than similar buildings. So that was really good. And then the other thing with regard to Sustainable CT is the Community Match Fund. Christine and I met with Joseph Dickerson from Sustainable CT about beginning the process of doing a community match fund, and this is for creation of the educational signs to educate the public about the porous asphalt parking lots at Highland Farm, which Craig was kind enough to create. Both signs cost about $2,000. We have to raise half of that. 35% can come from the town, can contribute up to 35% of that. We need to get a minimum of 20 donors to donate the rest. So we've started the process. We met with Sustainable CT. I think I forwarded to all of you the documents to get started with setting up the account. Supposedly, I'm supposed to hear from someone named Cameron Greer, who is kind of like the guru for patronicity, and I have not heard from her, so I will follow up on that. But I just wanted to make sure, A, that we do indeed want to pursue this community match fund, and B, who wants to help with it.
Just to clarify something, the quote I have from Fossil Industries is,
Did it expire?
well, it probably expired and would have to be updated, but it is for
Mhm.
$1,785 for 2 signs,
Yeah,
not one sign. So it's about
right. No, it's for the 2 parking lots.
Yeah. Just the way you said it sounded like it might be 2,000 each, but it's 2,000.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Nope.
Yeah.
I realize that, and I apologize if I
No, that's right.
misspoke.
I just want to
Yeah.
make sure
No,
that
I know
the
it's
record was clear.
yeah.
Look, I would love to see these signs there. Theoretically, if it's a $2,000 goal, that means 1,000 can come from the community matching fund.
Yes.
That means 350 can come from the town.
Mm-hmm.
And right, or how much did you say the town could participate?
They can contribute up to 35%.
Oh, actually, that's $700. That's actually $700. So
I think it's 35% of the amount that we have to raise.
Oh, okay. So that's 350. We'll say that. So that leaves 650 divided by 20. So we need 20 donations averaging $32.50.
Right, or a greater number of donations of a smaller amount. So if someone
Yeah,
wants
yeah,
to give $5, I
yeah.
mean, we don't want to discourage people from doing that
Let's say
either.
we're at 650. I'm in for 50, and Redness and Mead is in for 50. So we're down to 550 from 18 people, which is like $30.50 each.
Sounds good.
Sounds completely doable. I would love to see these signs there. People don't know that they're porous. They don't know what that means or why
Right.
they're there, including including Park and Rec that maintains the area, because they stockpiled a bunch of wood chips and dirt there earlier this year when they were planting.
Right, yeah, you mentioned that. Yeah, there is a limit on the there's the crowdfunding window is 30 to 60 30 to 60 days. So it's not like we can go on indefinitely. The money has to be raised within a certain period of time. Um, the documents that I forwarded everyone, that made it sound like, kind of complicated, I thought. There was the navigation guide and the strategy guide. I think for this small amount of, I think, some of the municipalities have, asked for the maximum amount, which is several $1,000s. I mean, this is very small. So I don't know that we necessarily have to, in preparing for the campaign, it says you have to have a manager, a social media director, an event coordinator, a treasurer. We're asking for, well, with Craig and Redness and Mead's contributions, we need to raise $550. So I don't, I think we can kind of simplify what we have to do. And
Hi,
I think,
Carolyn, this is Kathy. Clearly,
hi, Kathy.
as we learned, with Sustainable CT, one would sort of assume you fit it to your circumstance, and ours is a smaller amount we're trying to raise in a small community. So yes, the campaign manager may be the treasurer, maybe the social media person, or maybe it's two of us or three of us. It's it doesn't matter. How to get that word out and then take those donations back in. I would think would be a very simple thing, both using the digital media and then maybe a day, over there with our, with a bucket and lemonade, who knows?
Yeah.
So I think it would be easy to do. Congratulations on, thank you for pursuing this. I think it's a really important aspect of the work that we're doing, that people see alternatives to what they're used to.
Yeah. No, I agree. And so I will reach out to Cameron Greer, and anyone who wants to join me, just let me know. And, we should get started on this.
Thank you.
Okay, great. Um, and Craig, with regard to getting an updated quote from the sign maker, do you want to do that, or
Well,
do you
once
think we
it
need?
feels like we're definitely going to move forward with this, I'll do that.
Okay.
Or like we're ready to launch, we'll verify the price, kind of thing.
Okay. Sounds good. Great.
Because
So
if
the
we had
next,
to at the end say we're trying to raise 2,100, not a big deal, right? We still kind of set
right.
things up in a
Yeah.
motion.
Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, maybe the price will have gone up a little bit, but hopefully not anything that we can't accommodate. Um, So the next item on the agenda is just to talk about recycling. Um, Ed isn't here, but I know that he presented to the Board of Selectmen the other night new permit fees for what will be charged to haulers bringing in trash, as well as the fee that residents will be charged for getting a sticker to access the facility. And Kathy, I know that again, I was not able to attend this meeting, but I did watch it on TV 79. And I loved what you said, what you got up and said. Do you want to just kind of give us a recap?
Yeah, sure. So Ed made the presentation with a proposal to raise tipping fees to anyone that enters the dump. from a fee of, I think it was a current fee of $94 per ton, or the metric, to $118 for that same metric. And he explained that is because we are paying back out $99 to have it hauled away. So
Right, and
the
change, yeah.
So he presented that part of the proposal. And interestingly, and Carolyn, if you saw this, there's a lot that's happening with the increased usage of our transfer facility as the Hartford incinerator was closed, and the places for garbage disposal are squeezed in the state. So he
Right.
explained that very carefully. He then explained that he saw also on the menu a need after 10 years to raise what a person who has a hauler or a person who doesn't have a hauler would pay. So he presented those numbers to the Board of Selectmen, and the fees were all approved to be raised in the next cycle, next year. I think the haulers sooner rather than later,
Yeah,
and then the next
Yeah.
permitting fee. So that was done. I then, having spent so much time with smart people like you for a couple of years, really felt like there would be a piece missing in the conversation that you all have taught me. And so I spoke to the selectmen about the fact that changing the fees was really just the beginning of a conversation that I felt the community needs to engage in, because the issue of waste management, the crisis in the state of Connecticut, is only growing, and that just by raising tipping fees or dump permits by $10, we were not really making any progress on the longer term issues that we are faced with solid waste management. And I
Right.
tried specifically to discuss how food scrap recycling and our wonderful volunteer unlimited program was a very, and the swap shop are very leading edge ways to manage this problem, and that we need to investigate how with food scrap recycling in particular, we could improve the amount of organics taken out of our waste. So
Right,
that
because
was
food waste
the presentation I
constitutes such a
made.
high percentage of the municipal solid waste.
As 20, 25, 30%, depending on who you're looking at or where, a part
Right.
of our municipal solid waste. So I asked them repeatedly to engage in community conversations about ideas that could reimagine this problem or the solutions, both in terms of public education, in terms of expanding food scrap recycling, and what I failed to say, and I will say now, is that really, in order to make progress with that would also have to include talking to members of the business community and our restaurants,
Yes.
and the Board of Education, which Ed raised kind of offline in the conversation, because it all goes in the same office. So we'll see where that what kind of response in the short term, or what kind of role we as a committee would like to play to provide some further information going forward as to solutions.
Yeah,
So
again,
that's what I said.
yeah, no, you did a great job. You really did, Kathy. I applaud you, and I thank you for forwarding your comments to all of us, including your links from the Connecticut Mirror articles and others. Yeah, no, I mean, we really need to start, getting the word out. We've tried with social media, to limited success. We now have this communications person in the first selectman's office who does an awful lot of posting on social media, very well done, and also does a bi-weekly newsletter that we can get information to the public on. She has a much wider distribution than we do. So yeah, we need to start getting that out. I was really excited when I heard the chairman of the Public Works subcommittee get up after you and make comments to the effect that maybe the food scrap program should be mandatory, not not voluntary. So,
Absolutely, which is why, Carolyn, that I know it's hard with Zoom and phone, but that is why I believe there's an element of this which is public education to improve our voluntary program, but I think there has to be a broader thinking of what can our municipality do to make this bigger and better, and
it starts
so I'm
conversation.
hoping that from a policy point of view, there's a marketing point of view and a policy point of view, and I'm hoping we can kind of continue to prove success with the volunteer program and use that, demonstrating that success to have some impact on policy in the next couple of years. As we will be renegotiating contracts in 2 years, so there is a window here. In which, if we don't do this, it may come to us through state mandate anyway. I didn't say that at the meeting, but a lot of this may come to us whether we like it or not if we don't creatively handle our own waste now. So that was I was happy to do it. I was fascinated that there was no objection to the program by citizens at the selectmen's meeting, and they voted it through. So the fees are going up, and now we'll see what the next steps are.
Great.
How much is my permit sticker going to cost next year?
Do you have a hauler or no hauler?
I have a hauler.
So $10. He raised the fees 20% for 25% for each, or 20% for each. If you have a hauler and you want to get a permit, it's currently $40 going up to $50 next year. If you haul your own trash, you currently pay $120. It will go up to $150. So the fees, just to reiterate what was said the other night, the fees, and Craig, you remember when we went through this exercise nearly almost 10 years ago. The fees have not been increased since July of 2013. So high time. Any other comments about that? Okay, so then I'm just going to move on to just reporting on the food scraps. For August, there were 3.6 tons of food scraps diverted. And Kathy brought to my attention this environmental report that Curbside, she's involved with Roten Point's food scrap program, and it came to her attention that Curbside Compost does this environmental report that not only quantifies the amount of food scraps diverted, but then also kind of uses an EPA calculator to transfer the number of pounds into the avoidance of carbon dioxide and miles of driving, which I think is a really useful metric for helping people to understand the benefit of pulling food out of the waste streams. Are you bringing something up, Craig? You're typing so fast.
Nope, you can ignore me.
Okay. So thank you, Kathy, for bringing that to my attention. Curbside will send that to us now on a monthly basis.
Super.
So we talked about the swap shop already. Communications with other organizations. Does anyone have anything to report here? Okay. I did attend the Green Team meeting the other day. It was the first since the beginning of the summer. And the only thing I would really report here is that Pam Gary, who's the director of Parks and Rec, had mentioned that she would like to do some kind of sustainable event, possibly at Highland Farm. And I told her that I would send her some information on what Wilton Go Green had done up in Wilton at one of the elementary schools. It was, they've done it for a couple of years. I think they didn't do it 1 year because of COVID, maybe 2 years, they skipped it, but it's sort of an annual event where they bring together all kinds of sustainable organizations, and they had like electric vehicles on display for people to see and to talk to people from the EV organization. There's a local Fairfield County EV group. There are vendors who sell items that are repurposed from plastics and so forth. There's someone from Aquarion to talk about water conservation, and she liked the idea of all these things. As I mentioned, I said that I would forward her some photos that I had taken at that event, as well as emails that I had received from Wilton Go Green that kind of listed their various vendors and other sponsors. So that may be something that we have to look forward to in the future. And then the only other thing I wanted to mention is that New Canaan, who has visited our representatives from Planet New Canaan and members of their various, their executive, their town officials have visited our swap shop numerous times in the last few years. They are finally, their own swap shop is modeled on ours and is about to open very soon. I don't have a date for that opening, but I know that they've been painting and preparing and putting up, they had shelving donated from the library. So New Canaan will have their own swap shop very soon. So I think that's very exciting. I'd love to go and see it. The only other thing I wanted to mention is that the Housatonic Resources Recovery Authority has set up a food composting, I don't know if I would call it commercial level, but probably close to commercial level at the Ridgefield transfer station. And they're going to be doing tours of that. So if anyone wants to join me on that, there's not a date for it, but I can certainly pass that information on. Marketing, outreach, and education. I think we've kind of talked about this already, that there is a need for greater outreach to the public on both the importance of reducing waste, participating in the food scrap program, as well as things related to the swap shop. And then the last thing I have on the agenda is just, we've been doing our meetings virtually throughout COVID and through this. Is there any appetite to go back to in-person meetings, or, as you know, many organizations and committees have done, or do we want to stick with virtual?
I find it very helpful to save the travel time.
Okay. Christine?
Same, but I wouldn't maybe mind having like one meeting a year in person just to see you guys.
Okay.
Once a quarter.
So, Craig,
No, once a year is fine.
I'm
No, okay, I see where I stand.
Yeah, no, Craig, I totally understand. I understand your situation, but I'm going to look into this. I'll talk to Monica's office about this, but I think that in room 206, which is where we previously had our meetings, and which is where I would try to have our future meetings, I think they're trying to, yeah, they're trying to set something up so that you can have hybrid meetings. So
Well, that's kind of cool.
yeah, I have no idea how it works. And you know how like techie.
We could probably do it ourselves. Laptop with you and like stream Craig in if we wanted to meet.
Exactly. Yeah. So, you know, maybe we can do that, and you know, whoever wants to meet in person, because I know Cliff goes away a lot too. He often joins from a remote location. But I just wanted to know, Tony?
I just walked back in and you were talking about the hybrid meetings.
Yeah.
You talking about room 206? Because I was kind of
yeah. That's where we used to do our meetings.
Yeah, we put in all kinds of audiovisual equipment with HDMI inputs throughout the room. That there really is. It's not terribly difficult to do hybrid meetings now. So we can look at that and do a test run if you want at some point.
Yeah, no, I would definitely need a test run. So maybe what we can do is I can see if room 206 is available for our next regularly scheduled meeting. And we can, Tony, maybe you and I can talk offline and meet offline. And, you know, maybe we can try a hybrid meeting for October.
Yep.
Okay, great. So anything else that anyone
I have one
really
more
interested
thing
we have?
because the guy sent me a picture. I'm going to try to share my screen here and see how that works. This is the sign. Can you see that okay?
Oh, yeah, to help the swap shop run smoothly, please note this is a 20-minute limit, which is still what we ask of people. Volunteers are authorized to, it's hard to see.
And enforce this 20-minute rule based on safety, congestion, swap shop function. Please be understanding if asked to leave after 20 minutes. Thank you. Enjoy the shop. So that's what's on there now. And
Is
Yeah,
that
we used to have that
metal?
on the we used to have that on the outside. I don't know. I'd defer to Dan whether he thinks that messaging would uh, is still helpful.
Craig.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah, Christine?
Yeah, sorry, I couldn't hear for a while.
yeah, we couldn't hear for a
Oh,
while. Yeah.
okay. Did you want to
I
say
cut
something?
out. No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay. Great. Well, thank you, Tony. So with that, we've covered everything on the agenda. Do
Right.
I have a motion to
You
adjourn the
do.
meeting?
You
And a
do.
Okay,
second.
great. And do I have a second?
Yes.
Okay. You,
Christine and
you
I.
can't make the
We're
motion and second.
co-motioning and co-seconding.
Okay, great. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we are adjourning at 12:57 and I'm going to turn the recording off.